Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Scenestalking podcast. In this episode, we're heading into the West Midlands to explore the impact of one of the UK's most iconic TV series, a pioneering programme of British Brummie working class culture. It's Peaky Blinders.
We're Peaky Blinders. We're not scared of coppers.
We will rid this city of his kind. Justice will be done.
If you want to be part of my organisation, you have to make sacrifices. I'm a businessman. I want to make my business successful. From now on, we do it my way.
From the industrial streets of Birmingham to sites like the Black Country Living Museum, the show has transformed the region into a major destination. We'll also be diving into what's often called the Peaky effect, how the series has influenced fashion, identity, and global audiences, from flat caps to tailored coats. I'm joined today by Edward Gostick, founder of Top Tours, who runs Peaky Blinders tours in Birmingham. Edward, great to have you on.
Yeah, so my name's Edward Gostick. I'm the managing director of Top Tours Global, and my company, essentially, we do Peaky Blinder themed tours in Birmingham. We do Robin Hood themed tours of Nottingham, and we also do a Tudor themed tour of Warwick, although only for now. Soon we're going to be doing Tudor themed tour of Cardiff and a Georgian themed tour of Brighton and a kind of industrial football themed tour of Manchester. But they're kind of Brighton, Cardiff, and Manchester are all kind of in the process of being made, while Nottingham, Birmingham, and Warwick are already up.
Wow, there's so many there. Sound like a busy man. What I think, and I think everyone would like to know initially, what has demand for your tours looked like since Peaky Blinders gained global popularity? Have you seen consistent growth or specific peaks tied to releases?
With the movie, it's a little too early to say because it's brought a lot of attention. It's brought a lot of press, and that's been really good. And that has boosted sales with just like journalists and stuff coming in and adding article stuff. And it will be good because it'll keep in the public conscience, which is very good because I want it to be that when people think of Birmingham, they think of Peaky Blinders, a bit like when you go to Stratford upon Avon, you think of William Shakespeare. So that's really good, and that's kind of what I want to see. As far as kind of continued growth of the business, I think so. I started in 2022, so I started the end of the final series. So I haven't really seen what it was like before Peaky Blinders, and it's not like I was running while the show was at its peak. But I think things like it being on Netflix, that brought a lot of international appeal. So about 60% of my customers are international, about 40% from the UK, give or take. I have seen continual growth over the 4 years that I've ran the company, but I don't know if that's because my reviews are getting stronger, I'm getting more noticeable online, and it's stuff I'm doing, or if it's stuff the show's doing. And like I saw a 7% decrease in TripAdvisor this month, and I was like, that's odd. I don't know why that should be happening. But then I looked at Get Your Guide, and Get Your Guide was a lot stronger. So Get Your Guide had like a 20% increase. So part of it is the show's popularity and the growth of that internationally. Part of it is my own advertising and the fact that the reviews are getting better and the tours improving and just maturing. And then part of it's also Get Your Guide and TripAdvisor. They are opening up new markets, and that's extending my tour. So it's kind of a mixture of those three things.
Yeah, interesting.
Kind of hard to say which ones are which ones.
Yeah, it's a bit convoluted.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a mixture of all three. It could be so Get Your Guide's huge in Germany, for example, it's a German company. So let's say you're a group of lads from Cologne. You've just watched Peaky Blinders because it came out on Netflix. You're then going to Birmingham. You then saw my tour on Get Your Guide, which you wouldn't have seen beforehand. You thought, oh, Peaky Blinders, cool, I saw the show. And then you looked at my reviews, and then that's what made you choose my tour. So it could be a convoluted thing of all three of them. But about a quarter of the people who do my tour are here for Peaky Blinders. A quarter of them have never seen the show. And half of them are like here to watch the football. So like they'll come and see like Villa play, and then they'll hop on a tour because they've got like time free. Like for example, if Villa's playing on a Sunday, that is a huge business boost for me compared to if they play on a Saturday. And it's not because there's more Villa fans who like Peaky Blinders on a Sunday. It's because if the game's on a Saturday, they'll fly in Friday night, they'll watch the game, and they'll leave Sunday morning. If the game's on a Sunday, they'll fly in Friday night. They then have they then have this free day Saturday, and they'll look at things to do, and then they'll do my tour. So yeah, so things like that, Crufts, like the big dog show. I don't think there's a huge correlation between people who like dog shows and Peaky Blinders, but again, it brings a whole bunch of people in who do it for a week. They do the dog show for maybe 3 days, and they have 4 days to explore the city, and that's the kind of thing that really is good for my business.
That's actually fascinating. It's like filming of a famous TV series or film isn't the root cause of the success of your business. It's actually like Villa playing, crafts, and then people come there, they plan, then they go to your tour. So in a way, it's screen tourism, not motivated by screen sometimes, if that makes sense. They're there on the day, I guess, and they think, oh yeah, that's good. I guess we could talk about like the sacrifices people make. If there's a tour about, around the local heritage of Birmingham and a tour about Peaky Blinders, are people more likely to go on the Peaky Blinders tour? So how popular is screen tourism more than how much of an impact does it actually have compared to normal tours, I suppose?
Yeah.
Edward, where are most of your customers coming from? How significant is your international audience compared to domestic visitors?
So I would say about 40% from the UK, give or take. 60% international, but also my numbers are a bit screwed because I look at my data based on phone numbers. But if you are from Argentina, you're here on a 3-month internship and got a British phone number, you would be classified as a British customer in my data, even though you're not, you've only been here for 3 months. So there's a lot of kind of things like that, or people who've just moved but got a British phone number. Holland is huge. The Dutch love Peaky Blinders and they love Villa. So I get a lot of Dutch people.
Could you put a number on that, do you think? Like a rough estimate?
You know what? I don't know why I'm speculating. Let me just go to I can have a look. I can have a look right now. I can easily see this for you. Hang on a minute.
Thank you. That'd be great.
You're looking at about 40% from the UK.
40%?
Give or take. It does obviously depend on the month.
It's a bit lower than I thought, actually.
Yeah, a lot of Dutch, a lot of German, French, Australians. The US is fairly big. So my biggest client every year is an American company. But overall, I'd say they're on level with like the French. Maybe a little bit bigger than the French, but not by a lot. I can give you this month.
Let's get into it.
This month, this is just TripAdvisor. Here we go. Traveler demographics. Okay, here we go.
Let's go.
So, the United Kingdom for this month was 26%.
Yeah.
The United States was 6%.
Right.
Then the Netherlands, then Canada, Ireland, Australia, Spain, Iceland, which is interesting. Finland, Uruguay, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Taiwan, Jamaica, Hong Kong, Belgium, Denmark, Luxembourg, Croatia, Hungary, Singapore, Indonesia, North Macedonia, Estonia, India, Switzerland, and South Africa. Oh, and Mauritius as well.
If you're going to ask me to read you back that list of names, you are out of luck. That is a long list of countries. That's insane.
Literally getting all over the place.
It's incredible. That's very helpful data as well. Thank you.
This month, there were 26%. Let me see if I can do it by year.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Look at booking summary by year. Oh, that doesn't tell me the demographics, though. It just tells me the number of people.
Like, it's amazing to see how far and wide people come from to visit Birmingham, filming locations, etc.
Over 60 different countries do this tour.
Jeez.
Yeah, all over the world. I mean, basically every country in Europe, bar like Belarus, has done my tour. Like even like Russia, Serbia, like even like countries you wouldn't expect. I've had
most impressive.
And some of the micro countries. I don't think of anyone from like Santa Monica or Liechtenstein yet, but I might have had Liechtenstein actually. I definitely had Luxembourg, and I've definitely had Monaco. But I don't know about the other ones, but yeah.
So to what extent would you say then Peaky Blinders has contributed to Birmingham's image as a tourist destination?
Oh, it's been huge. It's been huge. I mean, I think they call it the Peaky effect.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's underutilized. I think it's shocking that I'm the only Peaky Blind tour in Birmingham. I think that's absolutely insane. The fact that there's not a Garrison pub in Birmingham is crazy to me. Like one day I'll open up a speakeasy called the Garrison and just print money.
Living the dream.
Yeah, no, that's insane to me. It's really put Birmingham on the map. It's funny, I get people on my tour who go like, "Oh, like how do people feel about you, dressing up as a criminal? Like, does that not affect like Birmingham's image?" But because Birmingham's reputation is already
Yeah, like cultured.
rustic, to say the least,
Yeah.
Peaky Blinders has really helped it a lot. Things like the Commonwealth Games were really good. Yeah, just the fact that when people think of Birmingham, they think of Peaky Blinders. That's really, really good.
The Peaky effect, yeah, that's interesting. A name given to the screen tourism itself.
Yeah.
What kinds of local businesses then benefit most from your tours? Is there a wider economic ripple effect beyond the tours themselves?
God, yeah. I mean, I have a pub stop on the middle of my tour. So the Bull, I'd say I bought about 6,000 pints from that pub since I started. Actually, it was the Gunmaker's Arms first. So I'd say probably about three. I'd say I bought about 4,000 pints of the Gunmaker's Arms and maybe 2,000 pints from the. I mean, think about it. I get between 30 to 60 a week, and those people all buy a drink, or I'd say 80% of them buy a drink. So you're looking at. I mean, this month I averaged 52 people a tour. Oh, sorry, 52 people a week. So 52 times 0.8. That's about 41 pints that my company bought this week alone. So
Bloody
you times that
hell.
by 4, and then you times that by 12. And yeah, you have about 2,000 pints this year.
That's actually ridiculous.
If every week's as good as this week. I mean, this is a uniquely good week, but still, I'd say a year I'm buying anywhere between 1,500 to 2,000 pints.
That's hard to believe, but that's crazy.
So yeah, and then there's the other things you don't really think about. If somebody comes, I had people yesterday who did it as a like a week, like a midweek trip. They were meeting halfway in Birmingham and chose Birmingham. They both got a hotel here. They had lunch here. They had the train here. They had the first stop's a coffee stop. We start at a coffee shop.
Yeah, so people will come to Birmingham for the tour and then spend money elsewhere, like shops and restaurants and that.
I'd say, I don't know, but I'd say at least half gets something in that coffee shop. So that's at least 25 cups of coffee that you're buying a week from the company. Taxis, people are getting to get places, all of that.
Public transport, yeah, big one.
All that stuff. Kind of all comes together. So yeah, no, it does definitely have an economic effect on other things because there's that domino effect. And yeah, I mean, tourism is great. Tourism is really good for an economy, of course, and I definitely think it does help. But again, it's underutilized. I think the Black Country Museum is really good
Yes, amazing place.
because a lot of it was filmed at the Black Country Museum.
You go to the Black Country Life Museum and it's just set up like you walk into the set of Peaky Blinders. Streets, the buildings, the structures, people dressed up, role play. It's like you've gone back in time. It's like you're in the show. So, speaking of that authentic experience, then, have you noticed any changes in visitor expectations, particularly from fans that want that immersive experience of the show's world?
Yeah, so that is kind of a problem for me because Birmingham is so heavily bombed. It doesn't look like what people expect in the show. That's why I call it the Birmingham Slogging Gang Tour because my tour is more of a. If you're looking for a Peaky Blinder Disney World, go to
Right.
the Black Country Museum or go to there's a Peaky Blinder tour in Liverpool that's also kind of got that kind of feel about it because that was where it was actually filmed. My tour is about the real life history and kind of how that juxtaposition and then how that juxtaposition plays into effect with the show.
Yeah, it's more like the real life Peaky Blinders, like more non-fictional than
The
fictional.
real history, exactly.
So tell me about your business model. Is it reliant on the continued popularity of Peaky Blinders, or have you kind of diversified to reduce that risk?
I'm trying to. It's not going as well as I'd want it to, but I'm trying to. So that's what Nottingham is. That's why Manchester, that's why Brighton, Cardiff, Warwick, all these other places I'm trying to set up and build up because at the minute, yeah, it's pretty much entirely I have other locations like Nottingham and Warwick, but they are side hustles compared to Birmingham. Birmingham is the main thing that actually keeps the lights on. The other things are kind of, you know, I'd say what I get in a week in Birmingham is like what it would be a really good month in Nottingham. If I had 50 people do Nottingham in a month, I'd be chuffed. So now it's younger and it needs time to grow and it is getting there. Not Warwick though. Warwick's only for private tours now. I used to do it as a whole other thing like Birmingham, but it just next to the castle, it didn't quite work as well. I'm very excited for Brighton. I think Brighton's going to be quite seasonal. And Cardiff will be again. I think Cardiff's going to. We're kind of looking at Cardiff a little bit like we're looking at Nottingham. Kind of another one of those kind of place for us to put our foot in the door.
Yeah.
Also, they're smaller. I mean, Nottingham has 2 tours a week, while Birmingham has 14. So they're just on a different league.
You say your tours are surrounding the real aspects of the Peaky Blinders. How do you balance historical accuracy with the fictionalized world of the show when guiding your tour visitors through the real locations that they were filmed in, such as the Black Country Life Museum, etc.?
Well, that's essentially what my job is. That is the juxtaposition of what my tour is. So we have visual aids in the pub that help. A lot of the villains are very accurate. So Billy Kimber, Alfie Solomons, Oswald Mosley, Darby Sabini, they're all very accurate. So we can kind of talk about and explore them a lot. There were Peaky Blinders. They were just younger and a lot less organized. So mine's an in-character tour. So I dress up as Edward Shelby and we do like a Peaky Blinder experience in character. And then we kind of explore how their idea of Peaky Blinders juxtaposes with the real history and kind of explore those different elements.
Edward Shelby, I like it.
There's some bits that have that kind of look. The Bull, the Black Country Museum, Police Museum, the Chinese Quarter, St. Martin's Church and St. Chad's Cathedral. These are all stops on the tour. We go on the canals, which gives a good kind of feel for it. And then I also do a tipsy blinder experience. I do a drinking tour, and that one has 4 pub stops, and that's like a nighttime tour on a Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, I bet. It sounds like a vibe. So looking at things from a different perspective, because increased footfall doesn't always bring benefits. Have there been any challenges associated with increased tourism, such as, for example, overcrowding or pressure on certain sites?
There can be with private tours, but normally I make it work. So like so I can do about 40 for TripAdvisor, and if it's a private group, maybe 55 in my max. If you had a group of 60 people who want to do my tour, I'd be like, so for example, the Chamber of Commerce, about 2 years ago, they want a 75-person tour as a networking event. So I worked with them. They all met in a pub. I took half of them on the tour while the other half networked, and then I did the same for the other group. So like things like that I can kind of do and play games around with. So there is stuff I can do to make things easier on that front.
It's a good way of doing it, to be fair. Moving on then, the angle of this entire research project, really, one of the main core angles, I'm looking at what if a major series or film had never been filmed in that location? In your case, what if Peaky Blinders had never been filmed in Birmingham? Do you think a business like yours could exist in the same form today?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, they do. There's a guy in Nottingham doing a Robin Hood tour. There's a guy in Bath doing a like Georgian themed tour. And the idea of an in-character themed tour in the middle of a city absolutely would still work. And we're going to know, I'll have a lot better of an idea of that next year when I set up Manchester, because Manchester is a industrial football tour. It's a mill workers to midfield, an industrial tour of Manchester.
Sounds interesting.
If that works, then yeah, I would have been fine. Now, I don't think it'd be as big. I think you're probably looking at least a 25% smaller customer rate compared to the show, at least. And I think I wouldn't have done Birmingham. I probably would have done Bristol or like a pirate themed tour of Bristol or something in Nottingham. Maybe double down more in Nottingham. But yeah, it definitely would have existed. I just don't know if it would have been. Obviously, it wouldn't have been Peaky Blinder themed. I think it would have existed, but I probably wouldn't have done this city. I would have done probably a different city.
Yeah, it's interesting to see kind of the geography of screen tourism and how it affects your choices, I guess. Looking ahead then, how sustainable is screen tourism based on a single series like Peaky Blinders? And what happens when audience interest dips? Because it will inevitably.
Well, I would question that a little bit. So I don't know if I don't know how long the Peaky Blinder thing will last for, but I have a feeling people still. So next week I'm going to Northern Ireland to go to see the Game of Thrones studio tour. Game of Thrones finished in what, 7 years ago, and it finished on a terrible season. People still go to New Mexico to see all the Game of Breaking Bad stuff. The Sopranos is still really big. Friends, people still love Friends. If they did a thing in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and they had The Office, like Dunder Mifflin Office, I guarantee people would go and see it, even now, even though the show finished over 10 years ago. So if it becomes a cultural legend, a bit like Sherlock Holmes, Paddington, Robin Hood, William Shakespeare, Doctor Who. There's certain things that aren't a fad and live on in legacy. I think Peaky Blinders is becoming one of those things. Spider-Man. There's just certain characters who, if they didn't make a Spider-Man movie for the next 30 years, the Star Trek Next Generation, there's still huge interest and cultural significance to that, even though the show ended before I was even born. So I don't think that that's necessarily a huge concern. If it is, that's why I'm setting up these tours in other locations. That's why I'm looking at more the real life history and kind of how that grows in between. But also, I mean, they've got the movie coming out. They've got a spin-off show. They're talking about doing a sequel to the movie. I don't think they're done milking it.
No?
I don't think, at least for the next 5 years, it will be an issue.
That's a good thing to hear, I guess.
Who knows? I'm guessing, but I don't know. I mean, the show ended in 2022, and my sales have been going up since the show ended. So
Yeah, it's had a huge impact.
yeah,
A lot of people, I think screen tourists mainly want to continue those rituals, even when a series or show's ended. They want to continue that legacy, which kind of keeps screen tourism alive. I think you're right about Peaky Blinders becoming so iconic as an icon of British culture and values, I suppose, being seated up there with Sherlock Holmes, with Paddington, with James Bond, with Doctor Who. They've come to the right place in Birmingham. And that's a cut. We've reached the end of today's Scenestalking episode. Big thanks to Edward Gostick for joining me today. If you're visiting the Birmingham area, whether for the show or not, make sure to support Edward by taking part in one of his tours and gaining valuable insights into the culture and history that made Birmingham so popular with the Peaky Blinders series. This has been a fascinating look at how an iconic TV series can shape not just tourism, but culture, fashion, and international relations as well. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned next week for the final bumper episode of this series as we sit down with our two special guests, Dame Judith McGregor, representative of the Screen Tourism Council, and Martin Evans, the founder, organiser and managing partner of the tourism business, to talk about how local councils are using policies to enforce and harvest the growing impacts of tourism from screen culture to ensure the survival of this fast-growing hobby of the passionate few. See you then.